Hey, Dr. Bob Flower. This is your master pattern report for Monday, February 6th. And we're still in beautiful sunny Arizona. Wish you were here. Okay, so we had a hit on our February 3rd, 4th S&P up move very nicely. Today it did move down, but not to the degree that we thought it might today. But tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow's is a day that we had called for another move down, as well as a move down in silver. So we'll see how that plays out. Both of them were kind of weak today. All right, let's talk about a little economics. Greece. Apparently, the market is a little concerned about it, but not overly concerned. They seem to think that we're going to pull this out somehow, and things are going to be okay. Everything is working along just ducky. But you know, the Euro Central Bank, the Common Union, and the IMF are all collectively putting so much pressure on Greece. Other countries too, but Greece is the primary one at this time. The things that they want is they want a large layoff of public sector jobs. They want huge cuts. I think they're looking at something like 30% cut, 40% cuts on wages, and of course on the pensions, they're looking for cuts, huge cuts on pensions as well. So, and it doesn't look like Greece is in a position to deliver that. Here's the fear there, is that even if Greece admits to it, what are the people going to say? From all indications are that people are going to tell them to go pound sand. They're just not going to go for it, and if that means leaving the euro, I think they may come. But again, this is a game that's being played behind the scenes with Germany in particular, as far as Europe is concerned. For the hearts and minds and souls of the European people. Germany rules. That's the name of the game. It's one of the reasons why the United Kingdom is fighting so hard to get involved in this, because although they're not members of the European Union, they like the idea of control, and of course it's going to help. It's going to help their economy if they can live off of more trade with the European countries. So again, you know, we sort of are familiar with what's going on. This is sort of an update of all of that and behind the scenes. It seems like there's a huge move over there for the acquisition of junk bonds. So that means that people are betting that even if things do default, that there's going to be some sort of bailout. I mean, some of these bonds are going for some very, very attractive rates in companies and in countries both. That are, you know, in fairly good condition, you know, 7.5%, 7.9%, 8.5%. I mean, they're calling them junk bonds, but geez, I can remember back in the early 90s when the market was going to hell, that junk bonds were 14, 15, 16% here. So the situations are not that bad, and there seems to be something afoot that we're not privy to, that's saying, hey, it's we can get out of this. Um, I don't know. I don't know, folks. Things are looking much better. The unemployment is down, but I can tell you this. I think that one or two things are going to happen within the next 60 days. Either we're going to find out that there's a big lie going on with the government. After all, these figures are coming from the government, our friends. Um, so either we're going to find out, it's going to come to recognition that we're being lied to, deceived, however you want to put it, or they're miscalculating, or things are going to turn the other way insofar as employment are concerned. Don't forget, there's this big joke about, the unemployment rate is now 8.3. Those are people who are not working and collecting unemployment. But then there's the unemployed who are just out of the market totally. And given that number, the estimates have been anywhere from, I've heard as low as a total of 12% to as high as 16.5%, with both categories being added in. So, no matter how they try and paint this, and this is coming from the government, this is coming from our president, don't forget. It doesn't look like things are as good as they are making it out to be. And I don't think I have to tell too many of you that, because I'm sure that from some of the comments I get from discussions I've had with a few of you, you're not doing too well. Many people are not doing well. And there is no relief for you. I mean, take this new housing bill that the president is proposing. I mean, you want to laugh or do you want to vetch? You throw up, they're going to provide relief, mortgage relief, interest relief, with the following criteria: no late payments for the last 6 months. Even though the mortgage, even though your home is underwater, the banks are supposed to refinance from wherever you're at down to 4.5%, 4.75% mortgage, and you must have your credit score really doesn't matter, they say, but you must have the ability to repay it. In other words, you have to have a job. No crap. I mean, why do you think people are in trouble, Mr. President? They're in trouble because they don't have work, or they don't have sufficient amount of income. Maybe they're working, but instead of making $100,000 a year, they're making $60,000 a year or $65,000 a year. That's a pretty mighty hefty hit to have to take. Especially if you got a couple of kids in the house and one or two cars, and especially if kids are in private schools or college of some sort. I mean, what a joke. Oh, billions are going to be available. They're going to be available, all right, but how many people are going to be qualified? Just like every other program that they proposed, it's not going to work. I mean, not to the degree in which we need to. Look, somebody asked me recently, what's the difference? What is Romney or whatever, but anybody else? But Romney's the businessman. He's the economic genius, so to speak. What is he going to do that Obama isn't doing? I'll tell you what he's going to do, and whether you like it or not. He's going to let the markets float. He's going to say, hey, no more support. There will be maybe a very small class of people that will require help to survive. Fine. Other than that, forget about it. And there's not going to be any more bank bailouts insofar as these QE1, QE2, and potential QE3. Right? That's the reason why Geithner is not going to be on board after this election, even if Obama does win. they're continuously attempting to bail out the banks with their bad paper, and again, they're paying these extraordinarily high rates of redemption. You know, the market for this bad paper is about 45, maybe 50%. They're buying this stuff at 85, 90, 95 cents on the dollar. Who do you think is paying for that? You and I, my friends. You and I. Never mind the government and their multi-billion-dollar bailout. You know, this is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so enough of that. More economic news. Chrysler is only going to cost us $1.3 billion. We're giving the company away to Fiat. And I honestly don't know how good of a move that is, but it kind of gets the government off the hook. But Chrysler has paid us back some. We still have stock in Chrysler. But we're down $1.3 billion as things are proposed by the government. Now, hey, you know what? I know that's a lot of money, but and it's way more than what Solyndra gave up. But still, I mean, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, while we're talking about cars, let's talk about energy. You know, at the beginning of the year, I said that we're going to see oil ranging anywhere from about $123 on a high to in the 60s as a low. Now that doesn't mean it's going to stay in the 60s, but that's the kind of range I see this year with the master pattern happening. There are some very good reasons why oil is not flying, especially with this whole issue with Iran. I mean, you would think that oil is going through the roof, right? And it's not. Why? Well, there's some very good reasons. Number one, there is more oil being discovered today than at any other time in history, including in this country. Look at the Canadians and this Keystone pipeline. I mean, you know, that's new oil. So the market is being flooded with more oil. That's number one. Number two, insofar as the automobile industry is concerned and the oil, gasoline prices, there's some new inventions that are coming out which are going to, in short time, going to make a difference. For instance, Tata Motors, who makes the Land Rover, they've come up with a car that is powered by compressed air. It's a compressed air engine. You plug it in at night and power it up with air, and off it goes. And it's got something like 150 to 200 mile range at practically no cost at all, very little cost. Now, and they're going to be marketing that, by the way, for $8,700 starting this June in India. So it's going to be a matter of time before we have something in the United States, either that or something similar to it. And it's movement like that, and the electric cars. Some of them are really getting good. This Nissan is all electric. It's supposed to be very, very, very good car, very effective, very impressive. They say, even though it only has a 90 or 100 mile range, that's okay. How many people travel 90 or 100 miles a day? So I mean that's pretty effective. So I mean those are just some of the reasons, and there are a number of other types of engines and motors that are being worked on that will be coming online soon of different ilks, such as like the compressed air engine is another one generated by water. H2O, and we'll see how that works out. But all of this is starting to weigh heavily on oil, and if they want to be competitive, they're going to have to start rethinking things. Instead of being a slave to these Bedouins, we may well end up being slaves to some pretty smart, pretty ingenious entrepreneurs and companies that have found better ways of getting things done. So, this is. Can you imagine what would happen to the world, to the Mideast, the whole culture, if oil would be replaced, or be replaced, just cut in half, even? What devastation would occur to those cultures? And I think this is part of the reason why these people can't have a bomb. I mean, they'll come over and they'll tell you, you don't give me your money, we'll bomb it. We'll drop atomic bombs on you, nuclear bombs. But it's certainly going to be a culture shock. There's no two ways about that, folks. Okay, let's talk a little bit now about fairness. Last week we touched a little bit about this whole concept that the president has of fairness in paying taxes, and given that 47% of the people do not pay federal taxes, that he wants the remaining 53% to pay more, not the 47% pay some. 53%. Now, I know some of you are in that 47% bracket, and that you feel different. Oh, I pay this kind of tax and I pay that kind of tax. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the president. I'm talking about what the government is trying to do here and their logic. Where is it fair? Where is it fair? I understand that people are having hardship. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. If that's the way it's going to be, if 47% are not going to pay anything federally and 53% are, well, I'm okay with that. I really am. But don't come to me for more. So you can spend more. So you can grow government more. No. Let's be both a Republican and a Democrat, a blue dog Democrat at that. In thinking about this. That is not fair. That is not fair. Leave things be. Cut your damn spending. Cut your entitlement programs. Extend the damn Social Security age to 67 and a half for those who are under 45 or 47. Because it's likely to be broke if we don't address it now anyway. So, it's not that big of a deal. I could tell you that I have friends that waited until they were 67 to start collecting, and I think it's much better. And given that, by the way, I must share something with you regarding one of my relatives and our Medicare program. They had something that just came out a few years ago that we were just aware of. Let me share this with you for a moment. This family member did not opt to take out the medical option. I think it's option D. Okay, so now when she turned 65, so now she's 68, and she's decided that, hey, it's about time that I took it. Well, you know what they did? They said, oh, okay, but you have to pay a penalty because you didn't sign up when you were 65. Now, this poor gal is now paying $53.75 going back to when she was 65 and going forward for the rest of her life. All right, I'm going to repeat that again because I didn't see the television blow up and you didn't see the room expanded to pieces. This woman is now going to pay an additional penalty of $53.75 a month, going back for the 3 years she wasn't covered, and for every month for the rest of her life. Thank you, Obamacare. Thank you, Mr. Government. Thank you, Mr. Congressman and Mr. Senator. And no thanks to you, my friends, because you're not yelling loud enough, God damn it. Now, you get on the damn YouTube and forward it to those morons that represent us and tell us that, you know, you're only representing your own interests. You're not representing us. You better get your crap together, or our policy, the policy of the American people, is going to be every time there's an election, throw out the incumbent and put in a new one, no matter what they're doing. That's the policy. Okay? You want to know what Dr. Robert Flower's process is? That's the culture is get rid of them right away. Put them in and get them out. Put them in, get them out. Put them in, get them out. Because we have administrators in there that know what to do. Okay, so far as the mechanics of things. We don't need any continuity here. That's bull crap. All right, folks? So how about we start a campaign here? The turnover campaign, all right? The cleanser, right? We get rid of them. We put them in, new ones in, and we get them out. Put them in, get them out, until we know that they've learned their lesson and they're willing to participate. They're willing to do things. Hey, listen, let's see what happens tomorrow with gold in the market. I have some calls for next week, for the 14th and 15th. I'll be back in New York next week, and I'll probably be bringing snow with me. I sure hope not. But we'll catch up with you on Monday's report and have some calls for next week regarding the 14th and the 15th and our S&P. Have a good week. Wish you were here. Love you all.